Hi. Today we're going to be doing basically a behind the scenes of how I make my videos. I review a lot of audio products. If you don't know, today we're going to be going over how I'm going to film an amplifier review. Now it's fairly obvious that you have to listen to audio products, so I'm going to leave most of that stuff out. I'm going to be going over more like the video production end of making an actual YouTube review. So I just wrapped up the Celestia review and I think that's gonna do pretty well. And now we're gonna be moving on to the A90D, which is this amplifier right here. Been listening to it for a few days compared to my A90, and I have some thoughts about it. I'll save that for the review, but I want to talk about how I'm gonna go about filming this. Also, it's currently like 6:50 in the morning. I usually start my days pretty early and always with coffee. Every time. So a lot of what you won't see is like the mess of making a video. There's a lot of stuff that I think a lot of people might consider to be really unnecessary for video production. Like for example, this is a set that I had built for the Celestia for an overhead shot for the thumbnail. And I spend a lot of my time cleaning this stuff up. And you might say, well, why do you need to film that stuff? It doesn't seem necessary for an audio review, but the simple fact is, like, if you're gonna entertain people for anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes, you need visual diversity. And so you can't have the same repeating shots. You can't have, and I'm just cleaning up as I go here. I use these a lot, actually. I'm gonna be going over a lot of gear in this video. These Aperture MCs, they are little LED lights that can be a bunch of different colors. These things are fantastic. But yeah, the simple fact is, like, you gotta entertain people and they need some sort of like visual spice to make it more entertaining. So one of the biggest challenges I face is making things streamlined and efficient and easy for me to create quickly, but still maintain quality and not have things be super redundant. Now, one of those tools is a camera. This is my main camera. This is a Sony a7S III with a Sigma 24 to 72.8 lens. Of course, a small rig cage for some mounting hardware points. If you're gonna buy this today, this setup, including all of the memory cards that are in there, costs you about $5 grand. It is not cheap. But the video quality that comes out of here and the file flexibility and just the overall look of a full frame camera is just worth it, in my opinion. You might be used to seeing shots like this, which are something that I feel like I do very well, which is a top-down shot. This is kind of overkill. You don't need to have all of this to do it, but it's the way that I do it because it's very easy. So these top-down shots are an excellent way of showcasing all of the different I/O and the different build components of a device. It's really good for showcasing inputs and outputs, how some of the menu systems work. It can really be very beneficial for that sort of shot. Now, there's a lot of ways to shoot overhead, but there are a couple things that I think give me a big advantage. One of them is surprisingly missed by a lot of people, and that's camera angle. So when I'm shooting, I'm making sure that that is exactly 90 degrees at an angle. Like, it kind of looks slightly off now because of the video, but in person, that is exactly 100% straight down to that product. It's not angled that way. It's not angled that way. That way the composition just looks correct to the eye right away. I'm also, you know, since this is a silver product, I'm kind of using similar colored things like dark gray, light gray. Sorry if that's overblown. I'm also using some really stupid shit like this scene. Totally overkill. This is an 8 foot by 8 foot, they call this magic cloth. And it's something that you would see on movies. They're on 2 C-stands and it actually rotates like that. So it can go a bunch of different angles and stuff. And then it will roll if I want to roll it. And then another overkill thing, it's being lit by an Aperture Nova P300C. This is a gigantic multicolored light that does like every color that you would ever need it to, and it can get very, very bright. This is currently at 31%. Another example here is that I could take this gray piece off and just have a white background without having to move that at all, and I will get a completely separate shot for it. So It's pretty cool. When you don't have equipment, overhead is very difficult, but when you do have the equipment for it, overhead can be a breeze and it can look great. So I'll show you the final shot here actually. Okay, so now I actually think that we have an opportunity to get a secondary shot in the same location. I try not to overuse locations because that sort of entertainment factor comes in where if there's not enough visual diversity, even with good B-roll, if it all looks kind of the same, it gets a little boring. But I think, 2 shots in one location is perfectly fine, and I can split them up later in the video. For this shot, we're just gonna be coming at an angle, but I'm actually gonna be switching to a slightly longer lens, which is gonna be a Sony 90mm f2.8 on perhaps my favorite studio tool, which is this DJI Ronin. Now, since the sensor distance to the subject isn't gonna change, it's not like a slider shot, I like to set manual focus in these situations. That way I can hit exactly what focus point I want to on the product. In this particular case, I'm going for those front LEDs because that's a new feature that I want to talk about in the video. And then I'm going to try and get the entire product in frame. And I think I'm just going to do an upward sweeping shot for this particular shot. So I'm going to start recording, go to the DJI app. I use the virtual joystick a lot. And then I'm just going to go straight up at a pretty kind of smooth pace. I'm not trying to race here. Nor take too long. It's kind of a feeling thing for how long you about want to shoot for. Each shot for B-roll typically will take around about 30 seconds. And then I'm just going to let go and let this smoothly come to its own kind of natural stop rather than trying to do it manually. If you are curious, these are my settings on the virtual joystick. Smoothness is maxed out. That way when I release this joystick, it just kind of slowly comes to its own stop. And then the speed is low. I have the roll set a little bit higher because I don't typically use that while filming, but I want to be able to roll it quickly when I'm setting up a shot. So I have that sped up to about 14. Now, since this is going to be a super linear story and I'm trying to save some time today, what I'm actually doing is I'm dumping the footage basically as I make it off of this and just editing it really quick. It's taking me a couple minutes per shot, and then I'm able to just create it during the day. And then if I want to do any sort of timeline adjustments later, I can make it, but this way I'm still working efficiently and quickly. Now I'm going to be getting a different shot without changing off of the gimbal onto a different kind of background area and showing some comparisons between the standard A90 and the A90D. But one of the advantages to the way that I've set the studio up is that I can just do this to sort of relight. So because a lot of the big stuff is on wheels, I can basically just roll this into whatever position I need it to be in. And then I can just kind of rotate this light to start shooting that next scene. So I am actually about to record the A-roll for that video. I kind of want to go over a little bit how I do that. So this is sort of what I got going on here. And it's going to be kind of shot at a longer focal distance. Usually I go pretty wide. Usually I'm open to like 24 typically, but I'm doing about, I don't know, 42, 43, whatever that is. That's going to be sort of the final look, is like this long shot down that path. I've got a microphone hooked up to an H4n. That's just going to give us really good acoustics. And then basically I'm going to bring out anything that I am going to need to talk about. So that's the A90D. That's the A90. I'm going to bring a couple headphones out here as an example. Hello, doggy. Hi, handsome. Yeah, then just chair. And that's pretty simple acoustic panels here to reduce some of the echo. And then I'm going to kind of go for sort of a high key look, like a brighter look. So we're bouncing that aperture nova off of the wall there. A lot of times I use the diffusers, but I thought this shot looked fine as it is. So that's what we're going to go with. So I'm going to try to go wide enough to where you can see the camera and me and sort of how the setup looks. And I'm basically just going to be bringing out everything that I plan on talking about at any point during the video. That way it's just all kind of prepared, and once I sit down and press record, I can just go. The way that I like to do my videos, basically just bullet point scripts, so I don't have like a super specific script that I write. For example, on the power and specifications of this, I have like a bullet point that talks about the new R2R volume control, right? So in my head, I know what I'm gonna say about the R2R volume control, but I just wanna remember to make sure to bring it up, especially in a review like this where there's only a few adjustments from the previous model. So it's all based off of the review. Sometimes I'll get really granular on the details, but mostly I just wanna make sure I hit specific talking points, and then I just kind of go based off of what I have in my head. Because the audio tracks are separate, I do need to make sure to synchronize them, and I just do a basic clap for a synchronize. And then now it's just go time. So if I mess up, which I will show you how I deal with messing up. Hey, what's up guys? I'm Josh, and did the best headphone amplifier out today just get a little bit better? Short answer is yes. So let's talk about the A90D. This is a step up in terms of performance. Sometimes when I start to say something, I realize that's not exactly the direction I would like to take that sentence or a part of the video, and I'll just scrap it and restart from a different perspective. Just whatever I determine to be a little bit more interesting. So the build is largely the same, so the build in terms of inputs and outputs is exactly the same, but there are a couple of adjustments on the new A90D compared to the old A90. So this particular portion, it's a little bit bloated, I feel like. I could choose to re-shorten it, or I might make like an executive decision in editing to just cut that whole portion out entirely, because it's useful information, but it may make the video a little bit too long-winded. All right, thanks a lot for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye. And then before I stop recording, I typically will do a kind of a recheck mentally to make sure that I covered everything that I want to cover. And I'll just throw stuff in at the end if I remember. So actually, this is a perfect example. Now, if you're wondering why I'm using two microphones today, I'm actually recording a separate video on how I make my videos, which will be out either before or after this video, probably after. It will maybe give you some insight as to how it kind of works behind the scenes over here. So if you're not already subscribed, I would subscribe for that. Hello. So it's a different day, actually. I was not able to do everything in one day. I got distracted. My dad stopped by and we had lunch, and then had some family obligations later that day. That's the whole thing. Anyways, I did end up wrapping up, for the most part, a lot of the B-roll. Basically, it's just what you've already seen, but just in slightly different locations, different lighting techniques and stuff like that. I'm not gonna show you everything because it's gonna be a little long, but I did wanna show you a little bit of the back end stuff. Talk about the thumbnail really quick. So I actually just ended up using a straight shot from here. This wasn't in it. It was just kind of straight on like that. That way it was like bright and it looked really nice. And it wasn't, I don't know, the other one just didn't look very good. I'll throw the other one up on screen if I remember. Anyways, so I got the thumbnail, I got the footage. Now let me show you what I do with it. So basically I just offload it onto Windows in one large folder, and I have it in like this single projects folder. I'll have the A-roll, which is right here, the A-roll audio, which is right here, and then the rest is just B-roll and thumbnail shots. Down at the bottom, you can see there's about 37 items. That's about typical for an average video, I'd say about 30 to 40 different unique shots. And then this is kind of the finished edit. This is kind of the complexity of that edit. Not too bad, actually. A lot of YouTubers go way overboard. I like a pretty clean, simple edit. I just export it and upload it, and that's pretty much it. Add a description, add a thumbnail, and yeah, I'm hoping that that video will do pretty well. It was actually released this morning. And then now I'm just gonna offload this footage and edit this video. So thanks a lot for watching. This is a bit about how I make my videos. See you guys next time.